Well, we're talking agriculture, and it is complicated. Agriculture produces a third of global emissions. It consumes 2/3 of the fresh water in the world, and it is one of the most susceptible, vulnerable sectors to climate change. Add to that, you have the issue of a rising population. So we could be facing a food shortage. The question really is, how can you harness technology to do agriculture better and greener? Well, I have with me two entrepreneurs at the forefront of agtech or agricultural innovation. Good to have you with us. Arama, let's start with you. You're behind the company called Plenty. What exactly do you do?
So Plenty is a company that's, over the last year, 10 years I should say, invested close to $1 billion in really figuring out how to reframe and rewrite the rules of agriculture growing inside. And really what we've done is mastered the growing of plants, which can be used for many different things. Most people here have heard of vertical farming, probably think it's leafy greens or it's tomatoes. But it's much bigger than that. In fact, if we think about how our food is produced, less than 1% of it today globally is produced indoors. And yet as we look at the challenges of climate, we look at the challenges of supply chain, but also all the opportunities, frankly, to control plants perfectly to make the best tasting fruit and produce. Food ingredients, for example, that are natural, not artificial, and even all the way out there on the spectrum, making, for example, nutraceuticals, pharmaceutical ingredients, all of which can be made in plants. We really focused on building a technology platform, if you like, an operating system for indoor agriculture for the future.
Arama is a scientist turned entrepreneur, and you grew up in a farm, you're modernizing farming, and what you're doing, you've already commercialized it. I mean, you've tied up with the likes of Driscoll, Walmart. Give us a sense of how that is going.
So we have two of the world's most advanced vertical farms at scale. One in the city of Los Angeles, in Compton, which is producing leafy greens. Another one in Virginia, just south of Richmond, a couple of hours south of DC, serving the northeastern corridor, which is partnered with Driscoll's, producing strawberries. And really over the last year plus, we've been thinking about where do we take our first international step.
And Hota, of course, professional footballer turned entrepreneur. And he is behind the company called GROINN. Hota, give us a sense of what you're doing there.
Yeah, thank you.
How you're disrupting agriculture.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here, because we are a startup company that we've been working on our tech last 2 years and a half. We create a device that we make viable, cover all the length of a country, with sensorical device to add and help the farmers with all that data we are collecting to make decisions, obviously to reduce the cost, because we see that now in the world, one of the problems we have is like farmers are not having that margins on his productions, and we need try to help them to more people, more young people like me want to join that industry, because people ask me how you change football to agrotech, because it's not a similar industry, but I think it's the future. And to be honest, I stopped football because I feel with that device we will help the world, and we can do that stamp. And obviously we are a business, we want benefits and profits. We will not lie, but we think we are in the front to lead a new generation of young people want to invest in the industry, young farmers. And the main point is make it profitable, because if not, people will not want to invest, young people will not want to work in the lands. And we are so happy that we are helping so much the world, and we are expanding ourselves to over the world.
Hota, give us a sense of what it actually entails. Is it a box?
Yeah, we create a device that we collect data. We collect nitrogen, phosphorus, sodium, salinity, conductivity, humidity, temperature, and we send it to our platform, to cloud, and from our cloud we send to the farmers how to use his residues best possible to reduce the fertilizant, because we are now fighting so much regulations in Europe. We have so many regulations about what they can use, what they cannot use, and obviously they was in the streets 5 months ago in Germany, Madrid, because obviously we need to take care of the world, but we need to take care of the farmers, because without the farmers we don't have food. And I think if the countries don't have food, we have a big problem. We already have so many problems in the world. Kids don't have food, and we need to help them, because obviously they need take that regulations, but if we don't help them, it will be impossible to make an industry work, because they need profits.
It has to be cheap enough.
Yeah, that is, I think, one of the main things we are here, because we are a new company. We are 3 months ago on the market, and it's like we are now in a big stage with one of the most important people on the world in agrotech, one of the best investors and businessmen on that industry. Yeah, but we create one dispositive that only costs 175 euros. And the other technologies on the market, and it's not our technology because we have the IP rights, it's a new technology patented. Technology similar to us is close to 10,000 euros, and now we are creating reality to the governments to have all over the land the data, because before wasn't possible for the cost of the products and the technologies. Now we create that affordable technology and self-sufficient, because we work with energy solar, and you click it on the floor and you forget about it in 10 years. And now we think it's possible to give to the government the possibility of that data can be a national treasure, because we can prevent maybe in 10 years 50% of your land will be not fertile, and we can take the problem now and not with the problem is it, because when the problem is it will be so difficult to take the solution. But now we are trying it. We are now in Lebanon with Dr. Yola Shamoun working, Republic of Congo and some other countries, and we are very happy, but to be honest, we are still a young corporation, and we are trying to can demand the world we have now with some good investors, a strategy partner, because I believe so much on my vision, and for that I stopped my career, and some people was, you are crazy, you are winning money, and you stop to put your money and maybe lose everything.
But I want to pick up on one of the things that you said, which is, this is a new age for agriculture. Agriculture wasn't necessarily a vocation or a job that young people wanted to go into. It had this image of an aging population of farmers doing things the way they'd done them for centuries, millennia. And there's some truth to that, but what we're also seeing, I think, with companies like yours, like mine, is rethinking what agriculture actually is, the tools that we use. So there are opportunities if you're a data scientist to utilize AI, if you're in mechanical engineering, if you're like me in soil science. This intersection of really amazing technologies and frankly, which agriculture is often leveraging from other sectors. We didn't invent GPS for agriculture, but every combine harvester out there can self-drive down a line using GPS. Robotics, which we use in our company, they're actually adapted automotive robots that we're using to pick up and handle large amounts of plants. And on the data science side, in our facility, we can create the perfect conditions for growing plants where we're getting decades of data every year. And one of our farms, we have 50 million data points. Everything from light, every day, light, salinity, fertilization, plant growth. So this is, I think, maybe the most exciting thing is that we're seeing a new generation of talent come into agriculture because it's cool. Anyway.
We talk about funding. HOT is looking for funding, but you're well funded. How are you looking at scale, expansion? How do you bring this to the world?
Yeah, I think we're a technology company. We say you're a vertical farming company, yes, but fundamentally we've built a completely new set of integrated technologies. which has taken a lot of capital because we're doing fundamental R&D, at least for the first 5-6 years of the company's life. I was an early investor. I took over as CEO about 3 years ago and said, okay, right, now we need to deploy technology. And one of the things we have to do actually at the business level is figure out the right partnerships and the right capital structures to scale. So we're not using startup capital anymore, really. We're doing asset level financing. So we're using bank debt. In the US, we have a partnership with a group called Realty Income, who've provided us, $1 billion allocation for real estate finance because we have to build buildings. You don't want to be doing that with venture capital. So I think as you go through the growth cycle, different types of capital become more important. And I think what we're seeing in agri-tech is a maturing of the financing structures to grow companies. Let's remember, agriculture is a fundamental infrastructure business, just like energy. The GDP flow out of ag and food last year was about 15 trillion in GDP. So when we think about building long-term infrastructure, we're talking in decades, really. So we started with an R&D proposition. Can we invent a new way of farming? We've done that part. We continue to invest in R&D for improvement. But now you get to the place where you have to scale. And you're seeing that with other areas like cultivated meat is another area, or using microbes and fermentation, again, to make food replacements. And for areas like this where you don't have a lot of arable land, these new technologies open up the possibility of having a new whole wave of agriculture.
Singapore's suddenly trying to do a lot more of that. How are you looking at scale, and what do you need for that?
Yeah, we are now facing one of the problems of grow too quick, and we need to take a seat to think how we will move on, because obviously with my past like football player, everything I do is a little bit more branding and easy to put in the wall. And when you create something that is new and so many people think could be the future, we are now talking with more than 10 governments. They are requesting us to add the technology in all the country, but to be honest, this is our best, so it's a good problem, but it's our biggest problem right now, that we have the technology, we can send the technology everywhere, but we need to take care of the technology and the quality. And now, without that VC capital or investment we need, without lost the control of the company, because I put so many hours and I think the vision of the company is so clear and I know where I want to go, and I am not in a hurry, but obviously we can lose the opportunity of that demand, because technology tomorrow can be another technology better than us, and this is from everything to anything is so easy on technology, and this is our biggest deal now to sort out, because I think in the next couple months, if we find that capital, we will be around 10 or 15 countries covering all the land, that this is so many devices. But now it is the biggest problem for us. But at the other point, because VC capital, now we are in an era that too many geopolitical problems, wars, and it's not easy to invest because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. And it's so many problems in Europe.
Well, that's part of the reshaping of agriculture. Just within our domain, you can say this about many industries, but really at least in the West, the post-World War II order was really defined by the concepts of free movement of people, capital and goods. Well, we can't really say that's the world we're in today. So, there's a greater need for technology, I think, in agriculture to provide local solutions. And agriculture has always actually been local. That's why we have completely different farming systems in New Zealand, where I'm from, than we have in the Midwest of the USA or here in Qatar, where you have incredible dairy production. If you'd said to me 10 years ago, we're going to have a 60,000 cow operation in Qatar producing dairy, I said, there's no way you can do that. And I'm an agricultural scientist in dairy, right? So guess what? I didn't know that there was going to be an answer that was very different from the one that we'd seen 10 years ago. And we're going to see, I think, that continue. The other thing I would say, too, is that R&D is incredibly important to our sector, and there's an immense amount of research and development done by universities. as well as by companies in the agricultural space. And if we think about what the future in this region holds, I think there's an opportunity to do much more technology development. We've seen companies like Eat Just, for example, come and set up here, and many others besides. That is, I think, a really
How are
exciting
you
area.
continuing to innovate? Because we heard
Yeah.
how Hara was saying that your technology may be irrelevant tomorrow. How are you ensuring that you remain relevant and build on what you have?
Yeah, I think we have a series of interlocking technologies, but really at the core is plant science. And that's actually very challenging. This is not SaaS software development, right? This is fundamental genetics and the conditions in which plants grow. And plants have evolutionary biology, in many cases going back 200 million years. So when we think about understanding plants, this is an area that takes time. We've been doing R&D for a decade. Good luck catching us. Right, R&D is not free. So if we think about what is R&D really, it's science. That's discovering new knowledge.
How much of your cost is R&D?
Probably in the range of nearly half.
Wow.
Yeah, we're the biggest R&D investor in indoor foods by far. And the reason being that we believe in the power of discovery. So science is discovering new knowledge. Technology is making a product out of it. Right, and we have that pipeline at fundamental science, and then we have a pipeline for making products. So if we think about really whether it's in biotech, whether it's big pharma, whether it's in ag, companies like Bayer, Corteva, Syngenta, there's nothing like that exists for the indoor ag world. And so we really aim to be writing the operating system, the fundamental product in science, which will involve also collaboration. So we already do licensing of our technology, for example. We're not trying to invent everything, but we want to be the best at what we do, which is growing plants indoors.
It's great to have a first mover advantage, but you have to remain competitive. How are you continuing to innovate?
Yeah, that's I told before. Yeah, we need every day keep working on the technology because
What's the vision, though?
Yeah, the technology is an improvement day by day because if you're working with a software, you will be day by day improving it. And when you have more data, we are working on artificial intelligence too. We have our artificial intelligence. And it's day by day. When you have more data, you will create a better artificial intelligence. But honestly, now we are not in that way that we are putting so much resource on improve and research. We are trying to have a research center, but now we are really focused on being on the market worldwide because we know we have the problem in middle of that process. We have offers from big companies to buy us. But at that point, I believe so much on the project. I know what we have. They was working to have this on the market on 2030, and that's why people come to us to try to buy. But of course, we was outside of the equation because they was multinational companies, and we were like a startup born in Galicia, like in a small place. Yeah, but I think we are now really focused on civic, and I think governments are helping us because they start understand how important will be for the countries have all that data. It's like 100 years ago, gold was the biggest national treasure, but how you can control your country with data is not only for farming. You can use that data for everything. We are so surprised at how many companies and how many windows are open for us for work in other sides on other industries only for the data. I was really surprised. I think when I was in the process that we will make a big impact on agriculture, but I am really surprised how many things data open you the doors and with all the industries, and he will know better than me because he's a long time ago agrotech and he's one of the biggest on the world. But we are surprising.
I didn't plan to say this, by the way.
You need to get your respect. Yeah, but
there's something you said I think is critical is that it goes back to what we were discussing earlier. Farming is becoming digital, and it has been really over the last 20 years. But AI is opening up new tools to really understand data in ways humans can't. And we're seeing that in our environment, controlled environment, 50 million data. Our agronomists can't comb through all of that information, but in there are kernels of really high value that can actually help not just scientists in our farms, but the farmer out in the field make better decisions on what they grow every day. And one of the reasons why innovation has to keep happening is that for centuries we relied on the weather being consistent. It's not consistent anymore. We just had flooding in the UAE. Our family farm in New Zealand, which has never been flooded, got flooded by a storm. It hasn't had a flood in 120 years. And farmers have to deal with it.
Quick question just to wrap up. How long do you think it'll take for us to get to where we need to get to feed the world while still saving the planet?
Easy. Just the easy questions. Yeah. No, look, I think the rate of innovation, the tools we have, are all there at our disposal. I'm convinced from a science standpoint, we can find the answers we need to feed the planet. I think what we face are some big challenges with mobilizing the capital at a rate where the innovation curve and the financing curves meet. So it's not enough to have, I've probably made it sound like Plenty's a technology company, we don't care about economics. Of course we do. We both have to run businesses that can be profitable, but it takes time to make breakthrough technologies. So you have to make choices all the way through that to make sure that, in 2050, when we've got 10 billion people on the planet, we actually have the tools available to feed the planet. And it's, I'm an indoor farmer these days, not an outdoor one, but we both need to bring those solutions to the farming community outside and to bring new assets to bear indoors. So.
Hata, Arama, we're out of time. Thank you so much for your thoughts today. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.